See, my cursor is actually going really wacky around the areas. This is no time for messing around, Chip. Oh, sorry about that. Hey everybody, this is me, Chip here. And I'm Daffy Duck here, and we are back for some more of the Mugsy Toys videos. And of course, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we actually did manage to fully complete done with Tropical Resorts. And today for this episode, we can either go either the Sweet Mountain or Starlight Carnivore. Well, since that's much like any other games in the particular order, let's just go ahead and go for these all these stages in the order, so that we can actually just cooperate, try to actually go for these worlds by worlds in the correct spawning order. So yeah, because today we're about to be exploring through this little candy island, which is called Sweet Mountain, which is basically based off of the food, sweet, and every other desserts and every kind of food there. So but even then though, before we actually get into the actual world itself, first things first, you probably noticed right off the bat though, is the fact that we're actually going to be coming across into not one, but two new Wisp powers, which they are essentially one from the Yellow Drill, which that might be seems true enough. So here we go with Act 1 in Sweet Mountain, so that means we can actually hopefully try to actually get into the first, in this case, the next Wisp power. So even then though, that we'll discuss more of that details on that as soon as we actually just find that, so yeah, Sweet Mountain, it does kind of reminds me of almost related to the Wreck-It Ralph scene from the Wreck-It Ralph film that is usually called Sugar Rush. That does remind me of that particular environment on Wreck-It Ralph film. But even then though, as a matter of fact though, for a Sugar Rush arcade game or something like that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's usually understatement, so. And also, this does also reminds me like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs film, which, to be honest, I'm really not a big fan of that film, and also the second film as well, because they're trying to make it more likely a competition between the Pixar films and all that kinds of stuff. But I still prefer the Pixar films over the likes of the Sony Animation Studios type of nonsensical things. So, anyway, though, so let's see if we can actually just find ourselves. Yep, we got ourselves our Drill Wisp. What this Wisp can do is the fact that you can actually, as you expect it in any other Wisp powers, is that you can actually press the Z button. However, though, you can, what this Wisp power can do is the fact that you can actually dig through dirt or any sort of walls or ceilings or whatever. It does feels really cool. It does sort of almost reminds me like I was playing Super Mario Galaxy 2 on, when there's a power-up you can actually obtain. Well, not exactly a power-up, but just the item, which is called the Spin Drill. It does reminds me of this particular Yellow Drill Wisp. But even then though, that in order to actually control this thing is by simply just move around with the analog stick or the control stick if you like to prefer coin now to be more precise. And then also press the dash button, or in this case the B button to speed things up. So even then though, that if you want to actually escape from this so faster, then you should be able to actually press the B button until you actually just escape without even getting crushed. Oh yeah, don't get used to what this little gauge thing, whatever, because if you somehow let the color power gauge fully runs out, mainly due to the yellow Drill Wisp, what happens was though is that as soon as that runs out, then you instantly die from that little solid ground. So even then though, because of this though, you don't want to get crushed obviously. So even then though, you have to be like super fast until you actually just avoid any sort of death situation. So anyway, so there's our 4th red star ring at the moment, so tap A button. In this case, yeah, sorry for the lack of dialogue here. But anyways, once you perform these little, tapping the A button sequence like dozens amount of times, mainly like 4 or 5 times. I'm assuming it's 5 times at this point, because even then, yeah, because it has like an amazing rating this time around, so yeah, until you actually get yourselves another score point. So yeah, that's all I can say about this. So Act 1 complete. So yeah, one thing I haven't mentioned about the other version of Sonic Colors, which is a form of Nintendo DS version of Sonic Colors. I believe the DS version came out on exactly the same day as the Nintendo Wii version, with, the exact same story plot elements and all that kinds of stuff. Although, we will explain more details onto this little exclusive stuff on Nintendo DS version actually offers until when we actually proceed to the actual Let's Play on Sonic Colors as soon as we discuss on it. So, Anyways, now we move on to Act 2, so that means we can now finally actually access to the Yellow Drill Wisp in any level, so yeah, it's a huge plus. So yeah, with that Yellow Drill Wisp, it's actually probably the coolest wisp in the game, because you can actually discover multiple secrets, and also some hidden items and all that stuff, and even some unexplorable areas, and even then, that's pretty cool. And right off the bat though, in Act 2, we actually come across into this drift section, which in order to actually activate the drift section is that you see this little icon as you can see on the center, bottom center. This means you have to drift in any sort of curved roads, or in this case a curved road. In this case, in order to actually do this though, is by simply just actually hold down the B button and just tilt the control stick at the same time, so that way you can actually get yourselves a drift. So, unfortunately though, unlike in Sonic Unleashed for the 360 and PS3, is the fact that you're able to actually drift as long as you actually just to be more attention to. However though, in Sonic Colors, I think the drift system is pretty much limited for the most part, although you'll see why in just a moment. So anyways, let's go ahead and kill these little abundance of the Eggman's robots here. One thing I actually really loved about this game, especially when it's like the Eggman's robots usually comes in a different costume and all that kinds of stuff. Taking a note from Mario Party 2 from Nintendo 64, they actually start to be using their different souvenirs for their specific costumes, which to me it does feel more likely a highlight of the game actually for me though. So, because take for instance, for example, that you know these little egg ponds, they usually just send in these little keep on waving this little signboard, which this actually belongs to Tropical Resort. And also, if you actually see this little Eggman's robots with Sheriff's, in this case, this Sheriff's hat on it, this means this actually represents from Sweet Mountain. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting and pretty cool at the same time. Well, at the same time, though, you're still able to actually see these little plain versions of these Eggman's robots themselves. Although there's some other times you're going to be seeing this costume variations at least. So, if you slide here, this way you get yourselves a 5th red star ring, even though we only missed out only 2 of them, because, you know, there are some segments of the game that you might as well come back into that one point of each level. So, yeah, that's that done. So yeah, we managed to touch the gold ring, so even then, that's all I really can say. So yeah, I apologize for this little lacking of dialogue heavy there, folks, because there's not much else we can actually say about this. Although, besides the fact that in the DS version of Sonic Colors, that the gameplay aspect of Sonic Colors on the DS, oh yes, we actually destroy everything in this little result screen now. But anyway, as far as the DS version of Sonic Colors is concerned, that gameplay was actually heavily borrowed from Sonic Rush 1 and Sonic Rush Adventure. Now, we'll get into more details on that later. So anyways, now we move on into Act 3, where we're going to be coming across into yet another new colored wisp, which I believe is actually based off of from Orange Rocket. So even then hopefully we can actually come across into that eventually. So yeah, as you can clearly see, that it's especially noticeable that the one mix that I found is a little bit more this is a prime example of how the fact that we're actually going to be redoing this Let's Play for the 3rd time in a row, especially consists of how the fact that this game, or the screen setting was, sorry, I can't speak today. The screen settings is actually still in 60 Hz mode, so even then now, you can actually perfectly see what is happening on screen right now, so no need for darkness involved. So anyway now, and if you haven't played this on the 50 Hz mode especially, don't do that, because even then now, that'll just really trying to actually brighten the colors like way down, so even then I highly suggest you don't. So yeah, I recommend the 60 Hz mode version because you can see everything here. So like the score count, lives count, rings count, time count, and even the boost gauge and the color power wisp icon. So anyways, here we have ourselves the Orange Rocket Wisp. What that allows you to do is that if you press the Z button, then you should be able to actually blast off to the skies, obviously. So even then, that's all it does. But even then, I found it to be really cool wisp powers to begin with, though. So there's actually an alternate way we can actually go into, like this little line of rings over there. That means we can actually get onto this the top roof. So even then, though, that I don't think anyone else seems to actually explore this area this much. Especially noticeable they actually first time playing for the game, actually, as a matter of fact. Oh goodness gracious me! I think this is actually the only part, the only pathway we got into is actually the hard routes. And even then, though, there's going to be a lot of tragic moments like dodging those missiles filled with candy. And also at the same time, there's going to be tricky platforming, tricky homing attack chain, and also spikes on rails. Okay, I did not expect it to see how this is going. But even then, though, it does reminds me like a minigame from no, not Mario. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland on the Game Boy Advance, basically. Yeah, I get a feeling from that part. So yeah, that was it for Act 3. Geez, some of these levels are really short by comparison. But even then, though, that's only because that since we're going to be exploring through 6 acts in one particular level, or in this case, the actual world, so excluding the boss in the end. So hey, at least we'll take a A rank, I suppose. So now we actually get finally get access to all the rocket wisps in any level. So piece of cake. So now we move on to Act 4 now. So even then, let's see how this level plays out to be. So yeah, let's just see how this plays out. And I believe we get ourselves a different starting position. So yeah, back into what we were saying about Sonic Colors on Nintendo DS. That particular version of Sonic Colors, sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting right there, ladies and gentlemen. I really do apologize there, folks. Basically, what happens was, though, is the fact that the gameplay aspect of Sonic Colors on the DS is very similar to Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure, because obviously it's in a 2D plane, and also you get yourselves a boost feature, just like how it does it from before. Except the fact is just the fact that, unlike in those two games, is that it doesn't actually have itself a trick system, unlike the Nintendo Wii version. So, it's one thing you need to notice by right off the bat, though. And also, not to mention though, there's actually going to be the exclusive feature in the Nintendo DS version, which is actually in form of the special stages, which, speaking of the special stages in Sonic Colors, is the fact that on the DS version most likely, if you ever played Sonic Rush special stages before, you know what the half-pipe sequence is to collect rings and all that stuff. Well, Sonic Colors on the DS does have this some sort of tradition as well, but except collecting rings, instead you have to collect those different colored spheres, which is something is a little bit similar in concept-wise in, you know, during in Sonic the Hedgehog 3's blue spheres, except that is still in half-pipe sequences. But yeah, I kind of wish that the Sonic Mania special stages will be involving through blue spheres again. I was really hoping there's not going to be a half-pipe sequence again, which there has been overused in the later games at this point in time, so... Anyways, enough about this little jibby jabber, so now let's move on to Act 4, where the main gimmick of this level is the fact that every time you were trying to press the button and all that stuff, mainly the switch most likely, what happens was though is that this allows you, although it's not usually happening right now, but even then as you could clearly saw in the split seconds worth knowing for, is the fact that every time you hold down the button and all that stuff, what happens was though is that it changes the laser roulette laser direction. So it's probably worth mentioning just to ensure that you actually place these lasers from the vertical or the horizontal position. And the third and final part, or in this case the final part of this level, is to simply just actually press either those 3 switches until you actually just to proceed all the way up. So even then though, until you reach to the very top, then that's how you essentially end the level. So yeah, it's probably worth mentioning for this part. So, oh, it's not too bad actually. But even then though, let's see if we can actually just get ourselves, oh, we got ourselves another extra life. I wonder how much extra lives we got. I think we got 23, don't we? Yeah, because again, this game is really generous with extra lives, so now for Act 5. Okay, quick A right there, sorry about that folks. This is basically I just had to fetch something while me and Duffy just have a little bit of a conversation with, let's just say Pinkie Pie and also Blossom at the same time, so even then though, that we're not exactly ready for these kinds of stuff, so... Anyways, now we move on to Act 5, where we're going to be doing some quick stepping and whatnot, so even then... I believe this something is a little bit different between Sonic Unleashed from the likes of the HD version and the SD version in this. It's the fact that in Sonic Unleashed, in order to actually access to the quick step ability, it's the fact that you have to press one of those bumpers, mainly the L and R in the Wii version, assuming if you play the GameCube controller, or even the right bumper or the left bumper on the Xbox 360 version, and the R1 and R2. Is it the one? No, it's not it. R1 and L1 is actually the default of the quick step abilities in the PS3 version, and same goes to the PS2 version as well. The big difference was though this time around though is the fact that if you're trying to perform the quick step abilities by simply just actually tilt the control stick left or right, assuming if the unlock stick is actually shown up at one point. So So here we go with Act 5's gimmick is the fact that we have to swing through vine to vine basically. So every time you're really trying to actually just to swing back and forth from left or right, then you're able to actually launch off from this little swinging bars. And even then though, that might be pretty useful at points. And even then though, if you somehow manage to instantly boost into this little swinging vine, this way it allows you to actually just to go zoomingly fast. And even then though, you can actually reach even higher areas. So take this part for example, if we use the boost button onto the specific swinging vine, then this will allows us to actually get into the higher areas. And even then though, pretty worth mentioning. I wonder what these blue rings are for. But even then though, we're never going to discuss that as soon as we actually come across into this next power-up we're going to be just finding ourselves in. So even then, though we'll have to save this up during some time. Oh goodness gracious me, we almost got a full off for that 1 point right there. But hey, at least as far as we can actually just be safe for the most part, so... Yeah, that's all I can really say about this for the most part though, folks. It's just basically, oh, a nice slam effect. Yeah, with the slam effects right here, this will only happen if you actually just try and knock out all of these Eggman's robots from the east side, so it's probably worth mentioning. And somehow we only got just the C rank, so even then though, I kind of wish we could actually get a little bit more higher than that, most likely the B rank or the A rank especially. But oh well, at least we'll just have to take it, I suppose. So now we move on into Act 6. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, I know what these red star rings are used for. You know this little Sonic robotic looking head thing, which I believe is actually called Sonic Simulator, if I remember rightly. We even don't know what happens was though is that depends on if you how much red star rings you'll be collecting through the entire adventure. The more you collect, I'm presuming you actually unlock something. So even then though, that hopefully we can actually show this off in the extra videos this time around, because back in June 2015, we're originally trying to say we're going to actually show that off in June in 2015, but we're somehow acting like an idiot, like just keep on forgetting it. So, as a result though, however, that we're hoping we can actually show this off. So even then though, that assumingly that we're pretty much almost done with June, obviously. So even then though, that yeah. And speaking of such though, is that shoot. Oh, we lost all of our rings. God dang it, Eggman's robots right there, you imbeciles. Anyway, as a matter of fact though, that we pretty much got 8 days to go until Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is about to come on the PlayStation 4, so I'm still really excited about this. So there's nothing we can do down here, I'm afraid, because we don't have a certain power-up while doing so. So for the most part, this is basically just, you know, shoot. How do I get hit by these Eggman's robots so easily like this? Oh yeah, there's actually another move that we haven't sort of mentioned about this in the beginning part of this Let's Play in particular, is the fact that Sonic can actually perform himself a double jump ability. Ever since, when was the last time that Sonic usually has a double jump ability in the first place? If I would guess it called correctly, it would probably be both Sonic R for the Sega Saturn and also Super Smash Bros. Brawl. If you perform a double jump while simply just actually pressing the A button twice. So yeah, that's all that's really going for the double jump ability in this game, so... Oh, the thing is though, is that sometimes the momentum can get really stiff at one point, especially if you actually get into these really tougher platforming sections in 2D sections. So even then though, that's why it's worth mentioning though, so... Hey, at least we got another extra life though. Alright, so now we're done with that, and now we're about to be moving on into the boss itself, in Sweet Mountain. So let's see what this is happening.
If I was an alien in need of saving, where would I be? Experience has taught me to investigate anything that glows. Experience has also taught me that the best way to solve problems is to kick robot butt.
Visitors are cautioned to avoid eating, petting, or seizing any aliens.
Excuse me, giant killer robot? You want to do this the hard way or the easy way? Somehow I knew you'd say that. Let's dance.
Alright, here we go with the next boss battle in Sonic Colors in general, and now see form of this little weird captain looking thing. And basically in the beginning part of this battle is pretty simple. We have to make our way all the way to the right until you come across into this little switch lever, where this allows you can actually stop the ship. Occasionally at one point there's going to be rare occasions where you get yourselves a wisp power, in this case a drill wisp. So that means we can actually deal double the damage, assuming if you're actually trying to be pretty precise with controls and all that stuff. So even then, there's the actual main captain himself. Ah, how did that hit me? Well, basically all you have to do is you have to homie attack onto him, or even stomp ability, which I highly recommend, because even then though, stomp is actually really great, especially noticeable if you want to actually just deal with these annoying little projectile looking slaves like these. So, and afterwards, if you're trying to defeat him, then, or in this case trying to hit him, let's just say for example to double the damage on their drill wisp power, and also the either homing attack or even just the stomp ability, and it's all go back into the ship parts and vice versa. So no, that's all I can say about this here though. So, oh yeah, one thing I have to mention about this is that I'm assuming that Maxi 10 did done this game before, but even then though, that the one part that he usually sucked at, it was actually this boss battle, because he has no idea that he was trying to deal with this battle. But hey, as long as we expert it compared to him, but even then, that we should able to be just as fine. So, let's see if he's down yet. Oh, I believe one more hit she'll do. Yeah, because you see this little slow motion thing, this means he's actually defeated. So, because, you know, he's actually now feeling really dizzy now. And all these rings actually spewed out, just like how it does in the first boss. So even then, let's grab as many rings as we can. Assuming if we actually get ourselves the best ranking. I'm not exactly sure for this one, though. Okay, so let's see. We got an A rank, okay. And no S rank, sadly. But hey, at least we'll take an A rank, though. So, sometimes it might be a little bit too long every now and then, especially noticeable on that. Oh, so we can get ourselves another extra life. Alright. Alright, so that's pretty much it for Sweet Mountain.
Hey, Tails, you missed the BBBE.
Huh?
Best boss beating ever. So, has Yacker given you any more information, or limericks, or whatever it is he's spouting?
Well, first, remember, this translation stuff isn't 100%.
Trust me, I remember.
So anyway, these aliens are made up of a really powerful energy source called hyper-go-ons. It's inside of them.
Like a battery?
No. Well, sort of. It's their life source. You only got a taste of it. Look at what happened. Battery is sort of an understatement. Funny thing, it was first translating as horrible body odor. Anyway, it seems an evil man, and you might know him, who they call Baldy Nosehair.
Baldy Nosehair! That's the best thing I've heard all day. I gotta remember that one.
I know, I've already written it down. Anyway, he's draining them of their power, all their power, and using it for an evil aquatic mammal? An evil dolphin? No, a porpoise. Oh, an evil purpose.
That's good intel. Keep working on it.
Hey, where are you going?
To find Baldy McNosehair, of course. I'm totally calling him McNosehair.
Baldy McNosehair, that has to be one of my favorite lines in the entire game. It also makes that return in Sonic Lost World as well, by the way. Oh, that's kind of fun as well. Anyways, join us next time at Let's Play Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii. It's the fact that we're now going to be moving on into Starlight Carnival. So, yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas, and see how this place actually handles. See you guys then.